Welcome to Certified Fresh, the interview series with artists and producers featured in the mixes of the aesthetic deity, the bus driver himself, the lean sommelier, your plug's favorite DJ, Ryan Celsius. I'm your host, JV. Head over to YouTube and tune in to Blaze Bus Radio, the Ryan Celsius live stream playing 24/7 lo-fi, experimental trap, funk, vaporwave, and other groovy tunes set to psychedelic visuals. On IG, he's at Ryan.Celsius. On SoundCloud, he's just Ryan Celsius. Follow Certified Fresh on IG at rc.certifiedphresh. That's fresh with a PH. Today's guest is Puar, aka Puar Beats. A native of Ontario, Puar uses his trusty SP404 to make music. Though he may dabble in funk every now and again, he's mainly a lo-fi hip-hop producer. Music gave Puar the chance to travel all over Canada, but it was at such a young age there were times it all seemed to blur. Listen as we discuss life on the road, his hopes for full-time music making, and the sound effect he uses in place of a producer tag. Let's get started. Yeah. So, when I was talking to you, I told my sister that you work in a cheese shop, and she was like, "Oh, ask him if he's a cheesemonger." And then when you said yes, we lost our shit about it.
It's a pretty sought after job title these days, the cheesemonger.
Take me through it. What exactly do you do?
Well, long story short, sell cheese, right? But quite like exotic cheeses, right? Most of them are like imported from Europe and shit. So over in North America, like Canada especially, people are pretty accustomed to like that commodity cheddar and Monterey Jack and shit, right? So when people come into the shop, they're pretty much like eyes pop out of their skull because they haven't seen any of these cheeses or anything, right?
Okay. Do you make any of the cheeses, or like you said, it's just all imported and you guys are just the point of sale?
Yeah, we just like import it and sell it. We don't do any of the creation. It gets pretty messy and timely, and a lot of stuff can go wrong. But my boss is like a retired millionaire dude, so it's just kind of a hobby shop for him.
What's like a cheese that's not common but is like low key really good?
Oh damn, we got like tons of them, right? Like there's like lots of different wash rind cheeses that are really nice, kind of strong and stinky, like sweaty socks, but like Comté, Beaufort, what else? Le Marchal, what else we got? Le Crémant, the Lys de Bourgogne. Like there's a ton of cheeses out there, man. We got like 150 plus at any given time.
Damn, that's pretty wild. Was this something that you've been interested in? Are you a foodie?
Not necessarily. I just moved to a new town like recently. Well, not that recently. I guess I've been here for about 2 years now. That's Nelson, BC. I just needed a job, right? So it was like an ad, cheesemonger. And I was like, well, that sounds pretty interesting. Let's go check what that's all about.
You're living in Nelson, BC now. Where are you from originally?
I'm originally from Cranbrook, BC. It's pretty close. It's just like in the interior of British Columbia. It's kind of like in the right smack in the middle.
So British Columbia that's a province, right?
Yeah, it's a province.
Okay, and is it further? I feel like it's further west because if I'm 3 hours ahead of you, like if you were to go south in BC into the States, do you know what states you would hit?
You'd hit like Spokane, Washington, and
oh, gotcha. So you are like on the coast.
Yeah. Well, I'm not on the coast. I'm like more in the interior, but we're definitely like pretty west coast for sure. Like when it comes to being in Canada, right? We're as far to the coast as we can be, right?
Oh, okay.
Like BC, then Alberta, then Saskatchewan, over to Toronto, Ontario, and shit, right?
In the States, there's like a real big difference between East Coast and West Coast culture. Does the same thing happen in Canada?
Well, truthfully, Canada is like a pretty special place as far as I'm concerned. Like BC, especially, it's pretty laxy. Everyone's really nice and happy, pretty nonchalant attitudes. Obviously, like anywhere you go in the world, there's going to be handfuls of people who are different, right? More straightforward, more blue cut or blue collared, right? I'd say it's pretty chill though over in most places I've been in Canada.
Cool, that's pretty dope. Yeah, and then before we started talking, you said that you had run out of papers. How have things changed since Canada's passed that legislation? What is it, legalizing cannabis?
Yeah, it's legalized now, but truthfully, like, I haven't even noticed any difference, like, at all. It's just pretty much the exact same.
Let's just get into music here. How'd you get started producing music?
Well, I've always been pretty into music. Like, it's been one of my number one hobbies since as long as I can remember. I played in bands as a teenager, and slowly but surely our live scene was dying and people were vanishing, and what was once 30 people at a show, there'd be like 5. Eventually I ended up going to this like outdoor kind of electronic music festival party thing, and that's where everybody ended up going, right? From the punk scene and the live music scene. I kind of just like had a sense of nostalgia and needed to, I got into DJing. I like seen the DJ up there and was like, damn, I need to get into DJing. So I was like a DJ before I was a producer. The transition happened, like, right, I was DJing and I wanted to start playing my own music out and stuff. So I just had to start dabbling with the production, and now I've been doing it for, I don't even know, close to 3 years, I think.
Oh, okay. And was the dying out of the music scene why you moved from Cranbrook over to Nelson, or was that something different?
Yeah. Like, truthfully, I got out of Cranbrook like pretty much as soon as I graduated high school, and I moved to a town called Fernie, BC, and I lived out there for a while and did I was doing some residencies, right? I was DJing like every week, and I toured all over like the region as well, out to like Vancouver Island and Whistler and Kelowna and Revelstoke and Kimberley and all like the towns in between. I was like pretty active DJ for a long time.
Nice. What was that on the road life like?
It was interesting because I was pretty young, right? So I didn't really know how to assess or digest what I was actually doing. Like, I look back at it now and I'm like, damn, I was like all over the place. I was like pretty young too.
Oh, okay. How old are you now?
26 now.
Oh, okay. Got you. So when you were saying you didn't really know how to assess or digest, are you talking about the experiences in getting better at DJing and making music, or just life shit?
Yeah, pretty much both, right? Like, life and musically. I was just like still young and like developing as a human at that point in my life. So it was just kind of hard to really enjoy and take it all in, right? I'm gonna try and get back into doing some gigs a little bit more this upcoming year.
In addition to growth and music, what are some of your musical influences? Because from the stuff that I've listened to from you, you know, some of it's like funk and some of it's more like traditional or lo-fi hip hop.
Yeah. I've found funk like pretty much like beginning of 2017 or something. There's like a bunch of guys making funk style shit, and there's always a sound that I really liked. It's like influence wise, like guys like Sudier and DJ Smokey, DJ Young Vamp. Those are like some of my funk influences if you wanted to dominate funk. And then like lo-fi, obviously Beside You is one of my main influences. Like, shout outs to Beside You, Evie, Immune over at Always Proper in Texas. Really big influence of mine. Then along with just like regular like bands and stuff, right? Like punk rockers. So a lot of punk bands. Rancid is one of my favorite punk bands. Operation Ivy. I could go on and on with influences. I'm pretty much influenced by like everybody that I meet.
Let's move on to Ryan Celsius. How did you first hear about him and like his whole brand as a like a YouTube music DJ?
Probably would have been about sometime when I was rolling with the Holy Mob Cats, and we were all just trying to look for growth, right? We were this new collective trying to figure out how we could branch out a little bit more. And one of us eventually discovered this Ryan Celsius guy, and we're like, this guy's pushing all the sounds like all over the place. So eventually we started working like in conjunction with Ryan Celsius. It would have been in the middle of 2017 probably, or something, maybe like early 2018 when we first started working with him.
Gotcha. Are you like knocking on the desk or something?
Oh yeah, I am sorry.
Nah, it's all good. All right. So you were talking about finding Ryan Celsius when you were rolling with Holy Mob. Are you not a part of them anymore?
Yeah, no, I parted ways with Holy Mob guys, but it's no hard feelings or anything. Shout outs to Holy Mob.
When people say creative differences, like people will think, oh, that's code for something, but was it just really, it just came down to you wanted to go into a different direction?
Yeah, long story short, it was just like some like creative differences in a sense, or just like it just wasn't clicking like it always was. So I decided to part ways with them.
I gotcha. But do you still keep in touch with those guys?
Yeah, I have been recently a little bit more. I've been like talking with Vaughn about doing some art for an upcoming project. Shout outs to Holy Mob. Those guys are pushing some really good music.
Yeah, definitely. You know, as a beat maker, you end up chopping up little bits and pieces of samples to make a beat. Do you ever hide little things in your beats that only like another producer or somebody with a really trained ear could hear?
Not necessarily in any tracks. Like, I don't really try and hide anything. I just like try and let the creative process take over, and I just kind of add what needs to be added. On occasion, I'll use a downward sweep in like a lot of my tunes. A lot of people pick that sound out. I wouldn't say I'm purposely trying to hide anything in any of my tracks.
Okay. Can you name a track that has an example of that downward sweep?
I'd say pretty much every single one of my tracks has it in it. I believe that exact transition, if anyone's looking for it, is in the Cosmic drum kit. Transition number 13 is the one shot.
Oh, okay. I was talking with another producer, and he was explaining to me, he was explaining to me the importance of having a good drum kit, and like how artists will put out drum kits just to give people new sounds and stuff to experiment with, and then kind of the community will take it from there and just really transform it into something else. So would you agree with that drum kits are pretty essential?
Oh yeah, definitely. Drums, you want to have more at your arsenal, right? Because sometimes your kick's not going to be the right kit for the specific sample that you're working in every time, right? So you got to have different one shots, different drums entirely, right? It's all in the way that you process them as well. If you're using outboard gear, or you're doing it all in a DAW, or what.
Oh, I actually want to talk about that for a little bit. Anytime I talk to a producer, I try to get like a technical insight on making beats, because I like listening to music, but I have no idea how to create it. So is there could you hear the difference between processing or mixing your music with hardware versus a digital audio workstation?
Well, truthfully, like personally, I want to say that I think that I could hear the difference in something that was produced with outboard versus inboard gear. But in today's day and age, there's so many VSTs that are like right on par with outboard gear. But at the end of the day, the outboard gear is just going to always be a little warmer and toastier. I think you could probably tell if it was used, if a track was made with like an MPC or something along those lines, right?
Follow-up question for that. What's a VST? Is that like a plugin?
Yeah. VST would just be like a virtual instrument, right?
Okay, I gotcha. So let's continue on this track. What are some tools you use to make beats? I know like Basaidu uses an SP404, and then like you said, a lot of other producers just use DAWs. What do you use specifically to make beats? Well,
I started on Logic at the very beginning, and I didn't know anything at that point. I wasn't using any hardware or anything. Eventually I moved to Ableton and started really learning how to use like the EQ and the compressor and stuff. And eventually I got an SP404 SX, and I've also been using the Teenage Engineering Pocket Operator 33 as of recently. I do my drums on it. It's a pretty sick little calculator toy.
Was there a specific reason why you wanted the SP404?
It's just got like a lot of features right on deck, right? And as like a sample-based producer, it's kind of just makes sense for me to have one for chopping stuff up and sampling audio, right? Maybe you want to sample from like the radio or the TV or something, and you can just do that really easily with the SP unit. And along with the vinyl simulation and the compressor, the EQ, the isolator, it's just a really handy tool. It's sick.
Nice. Another question I wanted to ask about making music, something a little more technical. How exactly does an equalizer work? Like, what is its purpose?
An EQ will like cut the lows or the highs, or boost the highs or the lows, right? You can boost or add or subtract any frequencies from your sample, right? So maybe your kick drum has too much high end, so you can cut back all the high end on it with the EQ.
And then I'm assuming the EQ does it in a way where it's not like choppy or apparent that sound's been manipulated. It makes it kind of natural and more smooth sounding.
Yeah, you're not like chopping audio at all. You're kind of cutting frequencies away from the sound, opposed to getting rid of the actual audio. For someone who doesn't make music, right, it's quite the learning curve, but anyone who is producing, EQ is like pretty you're gonna have to use the EQ.
There's no way around it.
Well, if you want to get your shit to pop, right, it's all in mixing, right? EQ, that's like some of the best advice I ever got. I got it from this advice from a guy called Cavalier. And it's EQ with content, right? EQ every single sound in your mix.
The last question, as far as technical stuff and making music, do you think the learning curve is more difficult on a DAW or on actual hardware?
I think that it's probably more to do with the person and the person's mindset, right? There's a lot of mimicking and stuff going on right now. A lot of people don't know how to necessarily trust their gut and go for it, like so a lot of people are trying to ask people what the best route is, but there is no best or better route. It all just depends on your main goal, right? Which should be the sound, is making something dope. Shouldn't matter like what you use.
Are you knocking on the table again?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
It's cool, man. Don't worry about it.
I've been a fidgeter for like as long as I can remember. My mom's always like, put that shit down.
Yeah, me too.
You're gonna break something.
Yeah, me too. Like my girlfriend or my sister, if they're ever sitting on the couch with me, I'll always like bounce my leg, or I'll always like be like picking at or plucking something, and they're just like, please stop. Yeah, exactly. How important is the producer tag?
The producer tag. For a while there, I thought that the producer tag was like the end all, right? You have to have a producer tag. Like Vaughn's got the fucking Cleveland laugh, and Soudier's got that laugh, and I hear that laugh is actually like a stock FL noise. I don't know if it's like necessarily important. I think it adds a lot of kind of creativity for the fan base, right? The fan base likes to hear those tags. They're like, they know that their favorite or one of their favorite producers is coming in with their track, right? Like, as soon as you hear that tag.
Recently on Twitter, you said that you're going to be working on music full time. What prompted you to take that step?
Yeah, I'm going to take that step like in the upcoming months. I'm just stacking dough right now so I can like have a little nest egg, but I don't know, something just clicked in my brain and I was like, you know what, I'm smart enough to do this. I can make a living off of music if I go at it with the proper mindset and don't be an idiot about it, right? I really just want to do it for life and get more content out there and eventually travel the world and share music with everybody. That's the dream right there.
Do you have like a particular location in mind that you'd really want to go to and just mature as an artist and work with those producers in that area?
I'm pretty happy where I am right now. I think at first it would be it'll really be just bunkering down and making lots of music and gaining more support on SoundCloud and Spotify, and then eventually figuring out where those fan bases are located, and then maybe trying to go over there and play some shows there. I don't know about relocating to like a hub with more people, like maybe do that. Right now I'm just working, so I kind of have like an obligation to be somewhere, so I kind of got to just like get rid of that, and I'll just be all over the place.
Over the past, I want to say 5 to 7 years, like a lot of heat has been coming out of Canada. Like some of the guys from Holy Mob, DJ Smokey, you. I don't know if Besaidu is from Canada, but what do you think has contributed to this just creative outpouring of producers from a place that is known for being incredibly nice?
Canada's just got this energy to it where it's kind of empowering and helping each other out as best as we can, and with that comes great music, right? People are getting built up instead of knocked down, and they're going for their gold. We got lots of contenders here. Like, we got Smokey from Ontario, and beside you is in fact from BC, Vancouver Island, and we got the Caspian Rose, who's also from Hamilton over in Ontario. We got lots of guys doing lots of good shit, like Bexfield over in Edmonton. It would be just a matter of time before everyone brands together and we get some sort of in real life scene. More fans liking that sort of stuff. In BC specifically, we have a lot of underground music, like more EDM style. We got like Shambhala Music Festival right around the bend, so there's not really that big of a lo-fi or funk scene in real life. It's more because it's oversaturated with the EDM sound, so it's like pretty underground over here feeling.
One more thing I wanted to talk about as far as the synergy of Canada and Canadian producers that are like slowly and quietly taking over the scene. What do you think contributes to that mindset of not tearing down other producers and building other people up?
Yeah, I don't know if it's obviously there's people like that all over like the world, right? It's not just America or anyone excluded. It's just like you have a choice, right? You can either knock someone down or build someone up.
Yeah, I gotcha. All right, so aside from working on music full time, what's coming up for you? You working on any projects you can talk about?
Well, just like making beats. I'm gonna put out a volume 2 compilation with like all of my recent beats over the last couple of months. I'm gonna upload that to Spotify, and I'm working on a couple things. Like I've sent some stems out to Immune, Evie, Swum, and along with like a bunch of other guys, really just like some up and comers. Don't got any like names or anything specifically, but I'm gonna try and work on as many new collabs and stuff as I can in 2019. I'm gonna try and have a really big year.
Nice. And what is a stem? Is that like a sample of a beat?
Yeah, just like the track outs, right? Like the kick and the snare and the hi-hat and the sample, and you just pass it over and let somebody know what the BPM is, and then they can continue the creation process with their own techniques and skills.
How can people get in touch with you?
Go pretty much anywhere, right? Just hit me up on Twitter or Facebook or SoundCloud, or I'm pretty active on SoundCloud and Twitter. Pretty much anywhere, right? Instagram as well. You can hit me up on Instagram. I'm going to try and start posting some more stuff on there.
Word up, man. Thanks so much for sitting down with me. I know that it took a lot for us to kind of get our schedules lined up together, but I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. It was good to talk on some subjects and whatnot. Peace, I got it.
Thanks again, Puar, for sitting down with us. Find him on Instagram and SoundCloud at Puar Beats. We'll be back soon with another interview from the beatmakers that are best friends with Yamcha. I'm JV. This is Certified Fresh. Amen.